Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Good effort, Meg. Sorry it's been a crazy couple of weeks. If you saw my last video, we had to make preparations for the hurricane that was hitting in our area, and our car ended up being flooded. So we had to take care of that and scramble to take care of our insurance and eventually get a new car. So thank you for being patient with me, but we're back to our regularly scheduled videos. So this week I am going to be making Espeon. So that is the next evolution in the series that we're going to be making today. As always, I will link to the pattern down below in the description of this video. Again, this is a free pattern and this artist does a ton of amazing patterns. I feature her work a lot on my channel because she's one of the few artists out there that offer her patterns for free, and I think they're really well written. So be sure to check out both her Ravelry page and her website where she posts both of her patterns for free, and definitely follow along. So without further ado, let's get to it. So for list of materials, we're just going to need a lavender colored yarn. I'm using a red colored felt and a black colored felt. If you would prefer, you can always make these pieces using yarn. I just don't have red on hand. And instead of black, you might want to use either blue or like a navy colored, but again, I had this on hand, so that is what I am going to use. You're going to need 2 safety eyes. You're going to need a size 3mm crochet hook, a stitching needle, some stitch markers, and a pair of scissors. You're also going to need a way to attach the felt if that is the method you're going with. I am just using this needle felting tool. Now to get started, we are going to begin with the head. And to do that, we're going to start with a magic ring. So we're going to go across our fingers like this, straight down, make an X on one side of your hand and parallel lines on the other. You're going to go under and over, pull through and twist. You're going to pinch and remove it from your fingers. Grab your leading edge, yarn over, and pull through one, and that locks in your magic ring. We're going to do 6 single crochets into this loop right here, and that will complete our magic ring. So to do a single crochet, that was 1. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through. So now we have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through both loops. So I'm going to do that 4 more times. So now we have 6 single crochets in our magic ring, and I am just going to plop a stitch marker into that final single crochet. Then we're going to take this small tail and we're going to pull, and that will make our ring just like that. And we can pull that tighter, it'll work itself a little loose while we're working in the round. And if you want to tighten it up, just pull on this tail. So for round 2, we are going to work increases in each of those 6 stitches. An increase is just 2 single crochets into a single stitch. So to do that, we're going to insert our crochet hook into that first stitch, just like we did before. We're going to yarn over and pull through, and we're going to yarn over and pull through. That's a single crochet. So now we're going to insert into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through. And that is an increase. So we're going to do that in each of the stitches all the way around. And that is the end of round 2. So now you should have 12 stitches all the way around. And now we're going to get started on round 3. And you might notice that there's 2 stitches inside of some square brackets, an increase and a single crochet. And the way to read that is you're going to repeat 6 times what is in the bracket. So this first stitch, we're going to do an increase just like that. And the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. And that is 1 iteration of the square brackets. So now we're going to repeat that all the way around 5 more times. And that is the end of round 3. And now for round 4, you'll notice there are some stitches that are outside of the square brackets, and those are going to be single iteration stitches. So for round 4, for instance, we'll first do a single crochet into the first stitch, just like that. And then we're going to do what is listed in the square brackets 5 times. And then we'll do the last 2 stitches. And if there is a number following a stitch with nothing in between, that just means that you want to do that in successive stitches. So for instance, for a first iteration of this square bracket, we're going to work an increase, and then for the next 2 stitches, so we're going to work a single crochet here and a single crochet into the next stitch, and we will repeat that sequence 4 more times. So that was the end of round 4, and you now have all the tools in your toolbox to get pretty far along on the head of the piece. So continue on, and I will come back when we get to round 14 and I'll show you how I do a decrease. So I just finished round 13, and before we get started on round 14, I just put a stitch marker here in my loose stitch so this wouldn't come undone. But we're now going to install our safety eyes. So I'm just going to flip the piece because I want this to be the back over, and it's going to go between rounds 11 and 12. So we know this last one here is row 13. So we go 12 and 11. So we want our eyes to go in this row right here. So with our safety eyes, for the very first one, we can just plop somewhere. So I'll just plop this one right here. And we want about 7 or 8 stitches in between. So I'm going to count 7 stitches in this direction. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to put it in this stitch right there. Just like that. And now I'm going to put the backing in, and we will get started on round 14. So for round 14, we are going to start with a decrease. Now, a normal decrease, you could just insert your hook just like you have been normally and yarn over and pull through. But I've noticed that, especially with amigurumi and making tighter stitches, I like to split the stitch just like that, and then yarn over, pull through, split the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And all that does is it closes up that hole just a little bit, so that way you won't see the stuffing necessarily. So again, I just want to show you that decrease one more time. So we're going to split that stitch, yarn over, pull through, split the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And now we're going to continue all the way to the end of this piece. So I just finished round 16. So now we're going to finish off, and we're going to do that by pulling the tail long enough for sewing. We're going to snip it off and then pull the yarn through the loop, just like that. So now the head is finished. So we're going to get started on the body. So for the body, we're going to start just like we did on the head with the magic ring. So we're going to go across and down with an X on the inside and parallel lines on the other side of our hand. We're going to go under and over, pull through and twist, pinch and remove. And then with our tail, we're going to yarn over and pull through to lock it in. And now we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. And with those 6 single crochets, make sure you put a stitch marker into that final one. Pull it tight and begin working your rounds. And there's nothing new in the body pattern that I didn't already show you for the head. So you should have all of the available tools in your tool bag to go ahead and attack this one on your own. So follow that pattern through, and I will see you once I'm done with this. And here is the body, and I left a bit of a tail, but technically you don't need it, so you could cut it and then weave it in because we have the string on the head that we'll use to sew the piece together. So next we're going to work on the fluffy whiskers, and you should know how to do the first 3 rounds at this point. So I'm going to work those 3, and then I'll come back to show you how to do the new stitch. So for round 4, I'm going to work the 3 single crochets first. So that's the first 3 single crochets. And if this is your first time doing a popcorn stitch, then stitch markers are going to be your friend. We're going to be working in this stitch right here. So I'm going to plop my extra stitch marker right here because it's going to be a little hard to see once we work this popcorn stitch. So it might seem silly to have 2 stitch markers right next to each other, but just we'll remember that green marks the end of our round and our blue is the next stitch after the popcorn stitch. So to work a popcorn stitch, we're going to be working for this particular pattern. In popcorn stitch in general, you would just work the number of single crochets it says to work. But into the next stitch, we're gonna work 5 single crochets, just like normal, but they're all in the same single crochet. So that's 1, 2. So I've worked 2 single crochets, and to make it even easier to see, I'm gonna plop a red stitch marker into the first single crochet of the popcorn stitch. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we are going to pull our stitch up, and I'm just going to put my finger there just so I don't lose it. And where we put the red stitch marker marking the first single crochet, we are going to put our hook back into that stitch. We're going to put the loop back onto our hook and pull it just like normal, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through the loop, and pull through that last stitch just like a single crochet, and that's a popcorn stitch. So it's going to kind of push these 5 stitches out. And again, if you're new to this, that's why I mark this blue stitch here. So we're just going to work a single crochet into that blue stitch there. Yarn over. I want to make sure that that is pushed forward and pull through just like a normal single crochet, just like that. And to finish this round, we're going to do 1 more single crochet into that final stitch of our round, just like that, marking that last stitch again, and then doing the final round. And that's our little whisker. So here are both of the whiskers. We have the feet, we have the ears, we have the arms, and we have the 2 pieces of the tail. And these will be sewn together, something like that. And here are all the pieces all laid out except for the little felt pieces, which we will cut out at the end and attach. So I'm going to get started with sewing all of the pieces together and stuffing. So I like to sew my ears on first. And to do that, I have my head here, and I'm just going to make an imaginary quadrant and hold my ear where I want it to go. So probably right about there. And I've already threaded up my needle with the tail, and I am just going to lock it in place where I'm happy with it. And given that the stitches on the ear are going this way from left to right, that is the way that I'm going to stitch this. So I suppose counterclockwise is another way. So we went down into the head. So now we're going to go from the inside of the ear to the outside of the ear, just on that bottom row of stitches, just like that. And then down into the head again and up, just like that. And then from the inside of the ear to the outside, just like that. And do that all the way around on the ear. Okay, so I finished stitching this all the way around. And by the way, I did not stuff the ear. I think that it's fine just to press these guys flat. But to finish this off, what I'm going to do is go into the piece and just go through and capture a stitch just like that. Pull almost all the way through, but when we still have this loop like this, we're just going to take our needle, go back through it like this, and that's going to kind of lock in that stitch. And then all we have to do at that point, pull that nice and tight, is just stick our needle through the head and out the bottom, just like that, and then we'll trim it off. So that's one ear sewn on. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other ear. So here are both of the ears sewn on. Different than the previous amigurumis, before we start putting the body parts on, we're going to first put the whiskers on, and they're just going to kind of go right here in line with the eyes and a little bit in front of the ears, but not by much. Now, a little trick that it's kind of like a lazy person's trick. So when I was looking top down to my piece, I realized that this ear was a little far back compared to this one. So it was a little uneven, a little more so than I normally am. So I actually took the backs off of the safety eyes and I just shifted the eyes over a few stitches just so it would center the ears a little bit more, and you can now see top down it's a lot better than how it was. So in case you don't feel like re-sewing on a part, sometimes it's as easy as that. So that's what I did. So now I'm going to install the whiskers, and this little like thumb, because it kind of looks like a mitt, this little thumb part is going to be down, and that's on both sides. So it's going to go on kind of like that. And I'm just going to install these exactly the same way that I did the ears. And here's the head with the ears and the whiskers. So now I'm going to attach the head and the body. So to get this started, I am not going to stuff anything yet. These pieces should line up just like so, and there should be the same number of stitches in the final round here as the final round here. So we should just be putting one stitch to one stitch, and again, because I'm using the yarn on the head and the stitches are going in this clockwise manner, I am going to also work in a clockwise manner. And once I get to about here, then I will start stuffing both sides of the piece and close it up. Okay, so I've sewn mostly all the way around, but we have this little gap here. So I am going to stuff at this point. And I don't usually stuff all of the way, but we want it most of the way. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to go almost all of the way, and then I will add the remaining bit of stuffing. Now to finish off, I just knotted it like I normally should do, but now that we're stuffed, we're going to just poke our needle through our piece just like this. Pull it tight, and then we're gonna trim that just like that, and we've attached the body to the head. So I just went ahead and finished sewing everything together just in the same manner that I attached the ears. That's how I attached the arms and the legs. And I did not stuff the arms, but I did stuff the legs. And we got our tail attached. Very cute. So now we're gonna add the felt details. So I'm going to start with making a circle with the felt. And again, we can always make these pieces by crocheting a magic ring, but just given the materials that I have on hand, this is what I am doing. I'm pretty happy with that. So that'll go right there. Very cute. And these black pieces, I am just going to make the inner ears. Pretty happy with that shape. Now I'm just gonna lay it on top of this piece and cut out a second one. So I have my felt pieces, so now I'm going to attach these. And again, I am just using this tool here. So to begin, we're gonna put our red dot right here and just stack. And here is our guy with all of the felt. So I'm super happy with the way that he turned out. He is very, very cute. And this yarn was a little different to work with because it wasn't a cotton yarn. This was some leftover like wool yarn that I had from many, many years ago when I first started crocheting. So it was pretty interesting to work with it. But I think I would definitely recommend like using cotton yarn for amigurumis, or at least like acrylic yarn, just because I think with the magic ring it closes up a bit better. There's a little bit more friction there for it to, I don't know, come together a little bit better. But he's so cute, super duper cute. And as I've said in my previous videos, you don't have to use like felt for detailing. You can freehand some of these detail parts and use the colors that maybe fit better with the particular Pokemon. But as I do with all of my projects, I mostly try to use materials that I already have on hand. And so I try not to go out and buy things if I can just use what I have to make do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are happy we're back to crafting. And if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to check out my other videos on my channel. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and I'll see y'all in the next video.